Well, last year, the Green Energy and Green Economy Act amended the Environmental Bill of Rights to assign the Environmental Commissioner new oversight and reporting responsibilities regarding energy conservation activities in the province. It is essentially a three-part mandate. The Commissioner must report on activities in Ontario that reduce or make more efficient use of electricity, natural gas, propane, oil, or transportation fuels. The Commissioner must further report on the progress in meeting any government-established energy conservation targets, and the report on any barriers to conservation and energy efficiency detected. Today I am tabling with the Speaker my first report under the new mandate, entitled Rethinking Energy Conservation in Ontario, an Annual Energy Conservation Progress Report, Volume 1. It is Volume 1 because there will be a Volume 2 in the fall. We don't yet have all the data we need for the calendar year 2009 in order to report on such things as progress in meeting targets, so those matters will wait to a fall volume. But in this volume, we have begun to address the broader policy framework and operational issues affecting energy use in Ontario. To some extent, the report is a primer for use by the Legislature and the public at large to gain insight into the energy industry. There are many interesting observations and analyses within its pages, but if I was to distill it down to some essential messages, they would be these. Ontario needs a comprehensive energy conservation strategy which encompasses all major energy sources, not just electricity, which is a relatively small share of our final energy consumption. Conserved energy is the cheapest form of energy. Energy conservation results in environmental improvements, economic savings, energy security, and societal resilience. These benefits have to be articulated and explained within the context of a clear vision of how Ontario has to change and why. And the public has to be involved in the discussion of how much conservation we should be trying to achieve and when we need to achieve it. To date, too much of the planning, target setting, and program design has been done with little or no public input and participation. These issues are too important, and too much is at stake for it to solely be the prerogative of energy elites. The mechanisms of public consultation and involvement are available, like the Environmental Bill of Rights Registry. They should be used frequently and to their fullest extent. Success in achieving conservation goals requires extensive public acceptance and participation, because it is the public, the residents of Ontario, businesses, and others, who will provide us with the energy reductions and efficiencies. So how do we get things moving in the energy conservation? Well, the first step is reducing the use of and making more efficient use of energy. And the first step is to let people know where they stand with respect to present energy consumption and relative to what they could be doing or what others are doing. We need targets for energy conservation beyond those in electricity and natural gas. And we need benchmarks for energy consumption for our buildings and transportation systems. There are studies that show that the actual energy consumption per unit area in groups of similar public or commercial buildings of equivalent construction can vary as much as 300%. I think that if you had a benchmark for energy consumption in, say, school buildings, and a particular Board of Education found out that its schools were using twice as much energy per square meter as those of a neighboring school board, it changes quickly. We have serious inefficiencies in our buildings and our transportation systems that we're just not aware of. Targets and benchmarks would help a great deal to bring attention to these conservation opportunities. The energy system of Ontario is a complicated beast. Some types of energies are regulated, some are not. Some aspects of energy supply involve sophisticated interacting public and private institutions. Others are virtually void of organizational structure. Creating a culture of conservation across the spectrum of energy supply in Ontario, which we must do, will be a complex and difficult task. This report is the opening salvo in what I expect to be a long and challenging battle to instill a culture of conservation in Ontario for the benefit of present and future generations.